Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
Thank you for joining us for Black Entrepreneur Experience. This is where we shine the light on the most successful Black entrepreneurs in the world. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Today, I am so humbly honored to have Sanni, CEO and co-founder of WeDidIt, an online and mobile platform for nonprofit fundraising. Hi, Sue. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Frances. I'm so glad to be here, and I really appreciate you invited me on your show.
You know what? I've shared, Sue, a very brief bio about you. Why don't you fill in the gap and tell our audience what you would like them to know about you and your company?
Yeah, sure. My name is Sanni, and I'm the CEO and one of the founders of a software company called WeDidIt. And WeDidIt helps nonprofits fundraise online. We've been around for about 5 years now, and we were a company that started out of Brooklyn, New York. Actually started right from my apartment. But today we have well over 600 customers all around the United States. We've raised over $50 million in funding for charities. And I'm proud to say that we are a very diverse team of young men, women of all backgrounds and colors. And, I'm definitely looking forward to the future of our business. And then about me personally, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I come from a Nigerian household. And, I've gone to school all around the country for high school and college. But I'm back in New York now and really pumped to extend my career and help more people as an entrepreneur.
Let me ask you this, Sue. Tell us about your degree. The college degree that you obtained, is it directly related to your company?
Not at all, to be honest. This might be a bit typical of other entrepreneurs, but I went to Boston College where I obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology. And unless you want to become a psychologist or work in the field, psychology doesn't necessarily equate to entrepreneurship, let alone nonprofit fundraising. I think what I learned from studying psychology in college was really how to understand people and how to express and identify empathy. Those are some of the core traits in really identifying problems that people have and developing solutions around them. So although I'm not practicing psychology, I use it and think about it all the time when working with our customers or when thinking about new business ideas.
So Sue, tell us, how did you decide this was the business for you? And what was that aha moment that you knew it was going to be successful?
Wow. I guess when I thought about WeDidIt as a business, it happened probably about 6 years ago in two different forms. So the first experience was when I was working at an investment bank. This was the first job I had out of college. And I was really, really proud of myself because, I was one of the youngest people at this private investment bank. And at the time, I was also making a lot of money for someone who was only 22, 23 years old. In fact, I was making more money in my base salary than my parents were. I was really proud given where I've come from. And, I thought my parents were proud of me as well. But there was one day where my mom was talking to me about what I was doing all day at work and just trying to understand, what her son was now involved in, now being a part of the banking world. And, a lot of the jargon that I was using that bankers throw around, I think was really just going over her head. I was talking about how I was very proud that I was moving over $1 billion each day through these investments and working with all these other banks. And she said, frankly, Sue, a lot of this stuff I don't really get because, as you know, I'm a pharmacist. I don't know anything about finance, but maybe you can tell me, how many people did you help today? What is it that you're doing, that's helping people? And I was literally stuck. I couldn't muster the words to describe what I was doing on a day-to-day basis at this bank that really impacted people's lives. And, I learned two things from that conversation. One, that my mom and my parents they see the world in a different way, in that they're always thinking about how to help people. They keep measure of my value and their own value by their impact on other people in a positive way. But then the second thing I learned was that I really, really cared about working in an environment or on projects that made a difference in people's lives. And I didn't get that when I was working at the bank. I didn't really feel that level of impact. So from that point forward, I made a vow to myself that the next business or venture that I get involved in would be something that would be helping people and changing people's lives. And then I finally got the opportunity to do that when at my next job, I met a young man named Ben Lamson, who also was very entrepreneurial. And we both had a specialty at this job in selling software to nonprofits. And through our experience working with nonprofits, we both realized that fundraising was very, very difficult. And a lot of these organizations didn't have the help or the resources to use online fundraising as a strategy. So because we both were entrepreneurial guys and sort of itching to make the next big leap in our own careers, we decided to quit our jobs, move in together, move to the hood in Brooklyn to Bushwick, and start this company. That was really the first time when we realized we have something on our hands.
That's an amazing story. So tell me, how do you define success? What does that look like for you, and how long did it take to manifest in your life?
I define success in a number of different ways, mostly because I do feel a responsibility to my team, my investors, and then the people in my life, like my family and my girlfriend and the people that I love. So on one hand, I definitely define success in a very clear and narrow manner from a business perspective, because we have a team of individuals who work at WeDidIt, and we also have investors. For me, success would be measured by the growth of our business and the number of customers we bring on, and then ultimately providing a financial return to my employees who have equity in our business, and then obviously to our investors. That's one way in which we're aiming directly for making this a profitable business and making it as large as we can. And that would be successful to me. But then on the other hand, I like that as my business has grown, it's afforded me the opportunity to travel more and spend more time with my family. It's given me the opportunity to invest more time into my personal life. And I appreciate that entrepreneurship gives me this level of flexibility. And because of that, I feel successful. I totally didn't feel like this 10 years ago when I was first starting out working at an investment bank. But today I feel very successful because of the opportunities that my business has afforded me.
You know, Sue, one of the things you talked about the investment banking journey that you were on, and you had talked about your mom and how it was over her head. And I think that as African Americans and individuals that are starting their business, anyone from the African diaspora, do you believe that your journey as an investment banker gave you an edge up or an open door to being successful as an entrepreneur?
That's a great question, because I'm conscious of our audience, right? And I want to always share what is the real experience that Black Americans and Black entrepreneurs face. But I also want to be clear that there is more than one path to becoming successful or starting a business or getting to where you want to go. So for me, I would say personally, I did benefit from going through the channels of investment banking. I was able to learn a lot about corporate finance and debt and banking and just general business acumen that really helped me become a polished businessman and an entrepreneur, probably much earlier than my peers. And I think that came because of the experience I had working professionally at a bank that was around since 1818, had over 5,000 employees and offices all around the world. When you work at a company of that stature, it gives you exposure to a lot of different people, but more importantly, it teaches you how to be distant from money in a way that helps you make objective decisions. And I think that was really valuable when it came time for me to start a business and grow a business. It helps me make decisions in a way that are dispassionate but effective so that I can grow the business without the type of personal biases that cloud people's judgment when they're making decisions that can be emotional. I learned that in investment banking. But at the same time, you can gain experience that will prepare you for entrepreneurship outside of the banking world, without a doubt. I think simply just doing independent projects outside of school with your friends where you have to generate money or sell a product are very early rudimentary experiences that can help you become a better entrepreneur. And you don't have to apply to Goldman Sachs to get that experience. You can literally set up a lemonade stand, so to speak, and grab a bunch of friends and figure out how to sell 5 cups of lemonade out in the summer on a single day. Doing things like that repeatedly and extending yourself, you can gain the type of experience that will help you.
Thank you for that. Sue, can you tell us what is a daily or weekly habit that you do consistently that has given you the greatest success?
Wow, daily or weekly habit. What I do for definitely weekly that has attributed to my success is I read a lot. I read a lot about other founders and successful entrepreneurs. I read a lot about my own industry, especially I read about the techniques and strategies and experiences that other similar software companies have employed in order to take their business to the next level. I guess if I were to sum it all up, what I do consistently is self-educate or learn on my own so that I can be 2 or 3 steps ahead of where I need to go, or at least the people around me. I'm like an ongoing learner. I'm always someone who wants to learn more about what I'm doing so that I can be better prepared in the future. On a daily basis, I'm reading up on articles on Medium and Quora and following bloggers and other people who are influential in our industry or who at least have done the things that I want to do. And I think that helps me stay ahead of the game or at least become familiar with how other people have achieved success in their endeavors. So that's something I do consistently, which I think has really helped me get to where I am today.
So what book, Sue, would you recommend to our audience and why?
The book that I would recommend to listeners on this show would be The Power of Broke by Damon John. As everyone probably knows, Damon, is a self-made man and came from very humble beginnings, growing up in Hollis, Queens. And as the founder and one of the main creators of FUBU, multi-billion-dollar apparel business and company, he's really seen a lot. And he's gone through trials and tribulations that I think a lot of us can relate to because he didn't have a lot of money or any money when he started his company. But what he did have was what he calls the power of broke. And throughout his book, he explains that the disadvantages that people usually have with capital or not having money or maybe not having the resources that you think you need in order to start a business, grow your business, or move to the next stage, those disadvantages should strategically be used as an advantage. Because when you're hungry and you're starving, you're going to do whatever it takes to get food. And that is the essence of the power of broke. Not having resources should force you to be creative. It should force you to be resourceful. And if you positively channel that energy and that motivation, you can do amazing things. His book is a great, great testimony to his experience being in those positions at many stages in his life. And then he also interviews other people throughout the business world who are seen as successful people, but they also started from humble beginnings and use the power of broke to become successful entrepreneurs. So I highly, highly recommend that book to the listeners today.
Thank you. Sue, what is one valuable lesson you wish you knew before starting your business?
Before starting my business, I wish I knew how long it would take to accomplish specific goals. I often get impatient about how long it takes to do things in our business. For example, let's say hiring is a challenge that my company has right now, or a challenge that other entrepreneurs may be facing. Because I'm eternally optimistic, I always think that it's going to take a much shorter time than the reality to do things that are really difficult, like hiring a team of engineers or hiring a team of salespeople. So I really wish that I knew earlier how long it takes to do some of these things so that I could better manage my own psychology and better manage my own anxiety. Because I think when you are a very aggressive entrepreneur and you're very optimistic and you're ambitious, you can be disillusioned about what it actually takes to bring a product to market or to raise money from investors. A lot of times, these sort of endeavors take a long time to really mature, and it takes a long time to execute. And I think if you have a more realistic view of how long it takes to do these things, you would be able to manage your own anxiety better. But more importantly, you'll be able to plan more strategically, knowing that it may take 3 months to hire this person as opposed to 2 weeks like you thought it might. So I really wish I had that type of knowledge or resolve earlier on when starting my business.
So let me ask you, in managing that, Sue, are you putting together a manual? Do you think that it's a timeline, that timeline changes? So say, for example, are you guys putting together like some type of blueprint that will say, in reference to when you're doing sales, this is the timeline? Or tell me how you're managing that, or are you documenting any of this information for future reference?
What I do these days is I try to communicate the timeline much more clearly to my team so that they too can be clear about what to expect over the next few months and essentially manage their own pace and their expectations accordingly. So part of where I get this information is by talking to other entrepreneurs who are in the same position as I am, but especially other entrepreneurs who are maybe 2 years ahead of where I am. And from them, it gives me a chance to learn what things they just actually executed on or the challenges that they just resolved, since they're only about 2 years or 3 years ahead of me. And that gives me now a backdrop or a benchmark to compare to. So once I gain information like that, I simply just try to communicate it to my team whenever we create these strategic plans about expanding our business. That way, we all are on the same page with our expectations and can be a little bit less stressed about how we're going to go about executing a hiring plan, so to speak.
So are you currently involved in any kind of mastermind group or team in reference to entrepreneurs that are a little bit behind where you're at, or entrepreneurs in the tech industry or outside the industry that is ahead of you?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually a part of, I'd say, at least 3 or 4 different mastermind groups or networks of entrepreneurs who are literally participating in this forum to share knowledge, share resources, and help one another. For example, because my company has participated in the Dream It Ventures and 500 Startups Accelerator programs, both of those organizations now have hundreds of founders or entrepreneurs who are alumni of their programs. And each of those programs have like a Facebook group or an internal Slack group or some type of email list where essentially we're just sharing resources or leads for customers or introductions to investors. So those types of networks, even if they're solely online based, are the things that I actively participate in because it extends my ability to reach customers and raise capital and do the things that almost all entrepreneurs have to do. And then secondly, there are other more formal ways of expanding your network that I think are helpful. You know, I love going to meetup groups. So going to meetup.com and actually searching for the specific topics that you're interested in can provide you a number of different groups in your local area where you can meet people in person and move with them on a monthly or weekly basis, however you folks design your meetups, but essentially meet with a like-minded group of people who are all focused on the same goal or sharing information that everyone is interested in. Those type of things are the ways that I augment my network so that it can be helpful to me and help me move forward as an entrepreneur.
So, Sue, tell us what's working well for you right now in your business.
What's working well right now is our product development. Now, I'm not an engineer by trade. I've only learned about software engineering and web development over the last 6 years in developing this business. So I had to literally learn on the job. But today I feel really confident and proud in the type of system that we have built internally at WeDidIt, where it's led by one of my other co-founders and our CTO, who essentially manages a distributed team of engineers and developers who work all around the country, and in fact, all around the world, and they all collaborate and help us build this amazing product. I am very proud about the fact that we're able to manage this type of team with such little resources. So that's something that's going really well right now. Because of that, it helps us double down on marketing and on sales because we know that the product is solid and our process of building and iterating on the product is also very, very good and reliable. I'm very happy about how product development is going at WeDidIt today.
So tell us, talking about product and technology, what is a technology tool or a technology platform that is a must-have for you in managing your business?
I gotta say, there's two things. So the very nerdy side of me, of Sanni, immediately thinks about QuickBooks, the accounting software. Having gone through investment banking, it made me really, really conscious of the financial metrics and health of our business. So literally from day one, I was using QuickBooks to essentially do our bookkeeping. And I'm a very, very big fan and proponent of hardcore financial management, financial literacy. So because I understand accounting, at least at a degree of which I can do our own books, I think QuickBooks is a fantastic product for entrepreneurs, and it can really help you understand the levers of your business that can help you grow or the risks that you have in terms of cash flow. The other side of me really wants to share with the audience Slack. Slack is a communication tool that gets rid of email, especially internal email between team members. It's basically a chat tool similar to Skype, but it's really, really great for collaboration and team projects. So in Slack, I'm able to manage the communications and stay in touch with all of my team members who are, like I said earlier, all around the world. But more importantly, the program helps us organize all of the conversations we have pertaining to product development, marketing, sales, hiring, advertising, team fun, outings, anything you want to talk about that typically happens in a work environment. Those things oftentimes get discussed via email, and email really, really slows down the communication process because it's asynchronous. Whereas with something like Slack, you can have real-time conversations with your teammates about anything and everything, and it's all logged into one platform. Because of that, it's helped us manage a remote and distributed team very effectively. So I highly encourage other entrepreneurs, and especially the listeners of today's show, to check it out.
So, Sanni, tell us, who are your top 2 influencers in your life, and what lessons did they teach you?
Wow, top 2 influencers. That's a really, really tough call. Well, the first one would be my mom. My mom is a risk taker in the fact that she immigrated from Nigeria with my dad to New York, to the United States in the 70s. And they both moved here with the American dream in their eyes. And because of that, they were very focused on establishing themselves and eventually raising their family here, because to them, that was seen as success. And I'm sure amongst their friends and family members back home in Nigeria, what they were doing was very risky. If you guys can remember or even imagine, in the 70s, there was no internet. And in the 70s, it's possible to meet people, especially outside of the US, who didn't have television. So we didn't have a clear glimpse or view of what the world across the ocean would be like. But people who have immigrated from Nigeria or from all around the world to come to the United States, especially during those times, have to be given credit in the same way entrepreneurs are for being risk takers. And I think I get that from my mom because she's done that in moving over here. And I've watched her as a young man take risk over and over and over again for a better future for herself and her kids and our family. So she's a lifelong learner. She's a pharmacist in Brooklyn, New York, and she continues to go to conferences and different seminars and workshops to stay up to date with the changes in her industry. And I've been really impressed by that because at 65 years old, she has demonstrated to me that you can always learn something new. You can always get better at what you do. So she's really set a high bar, an example for me. So she's definitely been very influential. And then the second person, I think, who's made a big influence on me, it's hard to rank them, or it's hard to put a rank on, all the people who've been influential. But the second person, it's a really tough one. I probably have to choose. Wow, I'm stuck because there's so many people. I'd say that the second person who's been influential to me. Well, I'm sorry, Dr. Francis. This is a hard question.
That's okay. We will move on. And so we appreciate, and I was sharing when we had an offline conversation just about the articles that I read about your mom and just the endearment that you have and the sacrifice that she made for you. So we will give your mom the first and second place as your influencer to make it easier. And I heard what you're saying, that there has been so many individuals that it's just hard to have a second choice. So I honor and respect that. So Sanni, talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger you?
The advice I would give to a younger me would be to strategically choose your friends and your coworkers, your partners, your social circle as a reflection of where you want to go or who you want to become. I've realized as an adult that you are the sum or at least the average of the people you hang around the most. And I think that's a common adage or saying that probably many people have heard before, but it's absolutely true. And I've realized that as an adult, where when I'm having a bad day or when I'm really, really excited about something, I typically share those experiences with the people who are closest to me. Those people are sometimes my friends and my family, but there are times when you can strategically choose your friends, or you can also change the relationship or closeness you have with some of your family members. And those are things that you have control over, which can really make an impact on the future of your career or your mental health or your personal well-being. So I would say to a younger me, really think about the people that you surround yourself with and choose your time with them very, very wisely and choose them very wisely. Because if you are the average of the people around you, then maybe they are a reflection of who you are as well. So if you are someone who's super ambitious and you want to become the best engineer in New York City, or you want to become the most successful doctor in California, then you probably should be hanging around people who are in the engineering field, or you probably should be spending more time at hospitals and health clinics and people who are in the health profession. Those are the things that are going to really help you get to where you want to go because you're surrounding yourself around like-minded people. That's something I would really drill into my younger self because I think it's important. As you get older, you'll realize these things and you'll see them more and more often.
So you talked about earlier, Sue, about your family, your girlfriend. Tell us, how do you blend, balance, align your personal life, family life with your business?
To be completely honest, and this is not a very popular answer to the work-life balance question, but to be honest, I don't have work-life balance. And I'm very unapologetic about it because I've chosen to do work that is a part of my life. And I like that there is sometimes not a clear distinction between the two, but I purposely choose things that I'm passionate about. For me, working with nonprofits and building software and building a team and running a software and tech company, it's awesome. I enjoy it thoroughly. And it's become a part of my life. And I've willingly accepted that. And I'm a proponent of it. So I don't seek work-life balance at all. I do want to have a healthy lifestyle. So it's not like I'm working to 4 a.m. and only sleeping 3 hours a day. But essentially, I don't try to purposely distance myself from work in order to protect my personal life. Instead, I allow my personal and my professional life to intermingle and to mix because I really enjoy the work that I do. And I also enjoy the people that I work with and the people that I serve. So I'm not afraid to allow my coworkers or my customers to become friends. And I'm also not afraid to employ my family or my friends in my business. Work-life balance isn't a goal of mine, but I think intertwining my work with my life is definitely something that I definitely appreciate.
So it sounds like you have blended your personal life, family life, and your business, and you shared about being very conscious of those relationships. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's shift gears and talk about risk or failure. What is the worst moment in business, and what was the takeaway?
The worst moment, at least in my business career, was when, as a company, we had to let go probably 60% of our team at one point a couple years ago. We had made some bad business decisions. Strategically, we were really, really aggressive with the way we hired a lot of people in our company. And then from a marketing standpoint, we had a hunch or an assumption about a new product that we were building. And we built this whole new product, and we were marketing and advertising it and trying to bring more customers to use this product. And because of that, we were also aggressively hiring to accommodate for all of this growth that we were assuming would happen. But at the end of the day, we really weren't ready to push this new product in the market. The product itself wasn't ready. And then as a team, structurally, we really didn't have all the pieces in place to really make this new direction work. So ultimately, we had to retract from the marketplace with this product. We had to shrink down the team because we were now hemorrhaging money. And the most difficult part about this whole experience was that I ended up having to fire a lot of people or let go a lot of people. And while I've gone through the whole hiring and firing cycle before, I never had to actually lay off a whole team of people. And that was really, really hard for me. It was really difficult because, I had created personal relationships with these people, and I cared about them and their well-being and their own financial health and their own families. So because I was so emotionally invested in them, I really took it to heart having to let them go. And I felt like it was my fault. Like I could have made a better decision earlier on about the business that wouldn't have put these people in such a tough financial position. That was one of the hardest things that I had to do in business. And it's probably one of the harder things in general. When you employ people, there comes a time when you're going to have to let people go as well. So that's definitely difficult for me, and I'm sure it might be difficult for other entrepreneurs too.
So, Susani, talk to the person in our audience. They want to start a business, but they're fearful. They're working a 9 to 5. What advice would you offer them?
To the person that's working a 9 to 5, but wants to start a business, yet realizes that they have some fears and are reluctant to take the next step, I would advise them to continue to research or to do more research about their product, their industry, competitors, the marketplace that they're about to join, because through that research, they're going to gain more confidence in the decision that you're about to make. So, my advice would be that you can overcome the fears by being more prepared. And being prepared, it can essentially be a matter of time if you put in the effort and the time it takes to better understand what you're about to do. So that would be the advice that I would share with someone who's reluctant to taking that next step if they're in a 9 to 5 and feeling like they want to be more entrepreneurial.
So, Sue, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you wish I would have asked you? And I want you to answer that question.
The one question I wish you would have asked me, especially considering this show and our audience of fellow and aspiring Black entrepreneurs, would be what role or responsibility do you think you have to the African American or the Black community abroad with entrepreneurship? So basically where I'm getting at with this question is, as a Black founder or a Black entrepreneur, do you think you have any interest or even any responsibility or role in creating business and opportunities that affect our community? That's a question that I wish you would have asked that I would have loved to answer.
You get the opportunity to answer it now.
Oh, no way. That's excellent. When I think about that question, it really makes me excited because I personally do think that we have a responsibility and an opportunity more so to change our communities for the better through entrepreneurship and through business and through economic empowerment. Because I've lived a dual identity as a Black American, but then also someone who is African, who's Nigerian, I've been able to see the difference in mentality, in approach, and in confidence that people have in the African diaspora, including that difference versus African Americans. And it's really, really interesting because I feel like there's so much potential that we have as a people if we were to work together and to realize the power that we have economically as well as intellectually. But in order to really get there, to get to that place, more of us who are in a position of power or fortune or of abundance, more of us need to take the charge and the responsibility to do something about it. When I think about this question of what responsibility, if any, do I have as an entrepreneur to the Black community, I think I have a great responsibility, and I want to use that responsibility to empower more people to start businesses and to lift themselves or their communities out of poverty or into a better position. You shouldn't be surprised if you see the next business from Sanni being something that definitely impacts people of color or people from disenfranchised backgrounds in the United States or even around the world. It's something that I'm very passionate about.
Thank you for that. And that was a very profound question. Sanni, can you share with our audience a parting piece of advice you want to offer?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me on the show, Francis. This was a lot of fun. I really hope people took something useful from our conversation today. But I would leave the audience with this. Many times I'm approached by young, budding entrepreneurs or people who have some entrepreneurial ideas, but they ultimately aren't convinced about a specific problem they want to solve, or they don't really know what business they want to go into. They know they want to work for themselves. They feel like they should be working for themselves, but they don't really know what business to build. They don't really have that idea that's waking them up each morning or getting them out of bed. So for budding entrepreneurs who are in that position, the advice that I would share with you is to get closer to the people. And what I mean by that is to get out of the building, get out of your home, get out of the office, get out of your normal day-to-day routine, your normal circles, and go to the parts of town or the parts of the city or the parts of the country where people are hurting. Go to the areas where people are in need. Essentially get closer to them. The reason why I'm harping on this is because entrepreneurship is all about solving problems. Good entrepreneur identifies a problem, creates a solution, and creates a business around delivering that solution effectively to that audience so that it is a profitable venture. When you work with people, you can realize and see many of the issues and problems that are facing them on a day-to-day basis. So when I say get closer to the people, it's really a call to action for people to go to the source of people's day-to-day lives and open up your eyes to realize the problems that people are facing on a day-to-day basis. If you do that, you will never, ever fall short of finding ideas or reasons to start a business, because you can use your interest in helping people as the engine for developing the next business idea. So that would be the advice that I would share with the audience. Get closer to the people if you want to start a business.
And you know what's really interesting, Sanni, that you would say that is because that's one of the things with your question that you had asked if you conducted the interview. It kind of parlays off of that. And one of the things that is very perplexing for me as an African American is that exactly what you said. To start a business, you first have to identify a problem, and then you find the solution to the problem. Well, within our community, there are so many problems, and that's what is so perplexing. We should have businesses sprouting up all over, and I know that it's easier said than done. So I don't want to try to have this illusion like it's just a pop-up business, but I'm saying to really invoke and provoke our community to say that we have so many problems in our community. We should start looking for solutions, not to take advantage of people, but twofold for it to, we have to economically stimulate and empower our own, but also to be a problem solver within our own community, which is going to be a win-win for all parties involved.
Absolutely. You said it better than I did. I think in what I was saying, there's a level of self-determination and self-reliance that I'm trying to illuminate. And you said it best. You know, we can invest in our community by turning on our problem-solving hat and using that to address the issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. We have the power to do that as entrepreneurs and as business owners. There are many issues that are really unfortunate in the Black or the African American experience, but no one is better suited to solving those problems than Black and African American people. We are in the position to make the change. So if it doesn't start from us, how can we expect it to come from anyone else?
Absolutely, we can do it. So Sanni, we've come to fun facts. It's the lightning round. And what this part of our show is, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want very quick answers to the questions.
All right.
Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do it.
All right, so the last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw was Get Out by Jordan Peele.
You relax doing what?
I relax by watching Netflix and chill.
Your favorite singer?
I'm going to change that to rapper because I'm more of a hip hop and rap fan, and my favorite rapper is Jay-Z.
All right. I'm going to have to add that to my list. I'm going to have to say your favorite singer or hip hopper. Rapper. See there, I blew it. Rapper. Okay, I got to add that to my questions. Your favorite dance song?
Ooh, my favorite dance song, The Dougie.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Oatmeal.
Your favorite month?
My favorite month is August.
Thank you so much for participating in the lightning round. Now, Sanni, can you tell our audience what is the best way for our audience to connect with you?
The best way for the audience to connect with me is to follow me on Twitter at @TheSusanni, TheSusanni.
That is a wrap. We want to thank you so much, Sanni, for gracing us with your wisdom and knowledge. And we so salute you for being such an example in our community in terms of lifting up and showing us that we can do it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Francis. It was my pleasure. And I wish all the best to you and the rest of the audience. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.